All right, live or live.
All right, it is 4 o'clock, so I'm going to call to order the Committee on Public Safety for November 12th, 2024. Let the record reflect all members are present. We have the minutes before us for October 22nd of 24.
I move to approve the October 22nd, 2024 minutes as presented.
Proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. Next, we are on to public comment on agenda items. If anyone is here from the public, but I believe everyone is here. For Joe, everyone's here for a reason on the list. Did you have anything to say, Joe? No. Okay. Then we will move right on to number 5, discussion action item, resolution appointment of Patty Farhat, the 3rd ward member of the Police Board of Commissioners, term to expire June 30th, 2027. Patty was unable to make it today with us. I did get to speak to her in person and over the phone. So I just wanted to kind of go over some of the things. She has served on this board. So this is switching spots from at-large to, I think, the 3rd ward member. So she essentially is just changing spots. It's an appointment, but kind of a reappointment situation. She's been on there for a long time. She's very engaged in her community. I believe she's president of the Neighborhood Watch Group as well. She has very strong passion for this. I've seen her at every meeting of the police commissioners engaged actively. And she did tell me that she has the time to serve. Unfortunately, she had something for today she could not cancel. So with that, yeah.
I have no questions. I move the appointment of Patty Farhat as the 3rd ward member to the Police Board of Commissioners.
We have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes 3-0. November 18th will be the council meeting.
Yes, right.
I'm not sure she'll be there, but anyways, we'll move on to item C, appointment of Mr. Randy Watkins as the at-large member of the, sorry about that, sorry, at-large member of the Board of Police Commissioners for a term to expire June 30th, 2026. Sir, do you want to come up to the table? This is to fill the position that we just vacated. Patty was holding, or will vacate when she resigns. I think her resignation is the day before council meeting, so everyone knows. Sir, I appreciate you being here today. If you could just briefly kind of go over a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve on this board, what you provision is for, serving on this board and what it could do, and whatever else you'd like to share.
Okay, well, as you know, Randy Watkins. I currently serve on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board. And in that capacity, I was chair of the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Subcommittee. During my time as chair of that committee, we looked at not only the diversity issues within the department, so to speak, but we were also concerned about how the department was being viewed by the residents of Lansing. And we developed a survey looking at the interaction between the residents and the department and how they felt about the department. And so I am still very much concerned about that. Unfortunately, the survey is still kind of hung up within the Human Resources Department, so it's not finalized. I am aware that residents of Lansing interact with at least 5 different police departments. And I want to make sure that if they have a complaint against the department, that they choose the right one, so to speak, that it's not a complaint against the LCC police, for example. And there's a concern that the uniforms of all the departments are pretty much the same. So it's hard to determine that, oh, my complaint is against LCC, but I'm taking it out on Lansing. You know, I want to make sure that our residents are treated fairly. This is one way of saying that. I have worked with various police departments across the state when I was employed with the state of Michigan as an insurance investigator. So I am aware of police procedures to a certain extent. I instruct classes at Lansing Community College, and one of the topics we go over is the discretionary use of authority by the police and the Fourth Amendment, what all that means. And so from a personal standpoint, this will give me more background to give my students. So I'm pretty interested in learning more about police procedures. I'm happy to answer any questions.
What are the 5 agencies?
You have the state police, you have East Lansing, you have Lansing Township, as I mentioned, LCC, and then you have LPD. I'm sure there's probably.
Overarching MSP and all of
Right, yeah, I was thinking I forgot about
Right.
MSP and, well, just the other, right.
Arrow, our actual police, MCOL certified. So, anyways.
No, I don't have any additional questions.
I've known Mr. Watkins for a long time. Think you'd be a great commissioner.
And I appreciate all that detail. And then I ask everybody, I assume that you have time to make the meetings and serve on the board.
Yes, I just found out that they're on a Tuesday night, and so that's perfect because the other days of the week are totally full.
Perfect.
All right, well, I move the appointment of Randy Watkins as an at-large member of the Board of Police Commissioners.
All right, we have a proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0, sir. We'll have the swearing in November 18th. Did you plan on being here?
Fortunately, I have a meeting canceled, so I can be there.
All right, perfect. It'll be 7 p.m. in the council chambers, just when you come off the elevator.
All right.
All right, thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
See you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to item D, residential discussion on residential handicap parking, signage and enforcement. I believe Chief Backus came. Want to come up to the table, Chief? Essentially, last week, I had a resident call and discuss a handicap sign in the middle of a residential neighborhood a block away from me. I was very surprised to find a handicap sign was certainly sitting there. I had not heard of that before. So through many emails, we learned that these apparently can be placed either temporarily or permanently, but at a request of a resident. But they are not that specific resident's spot. It's anyone that has a handicap plate or placard. So I asked the chief and Mr. Kilpatrick, who doesn't look like could make it today, to come in because was some confusion about how this all kind of works. Chief, if you could, I know that we emailed back and forth, but essentially, I think I explained what Andy Kilpatrick had emailed me about how this process now happens, and it does come through public service, but the enforcement aspect of it.
Sure. So what I can tell you about the current situation we're dealing with, my understanding is that it was a resident in that neighborhood who was having some difficulties parking and then contacted the city and was able to get one of those spots designated as handicapped. It just so happens that there's another person in that area who is utilizing that handicap space. And so obviously that was something that we didn't know about. And apparently the other person didn't know what was going to happen either. And so when they reported to the mayor's office, we went out there and we did make contact with the vehicle, not with the vehicle owner, but we just confirmed that the plate actually does register as someone who has a valid handicap placard. So from our standpoint, we can't do any type of enforcement. They're legally parked there. And just to clarify one of the things that you and I talked about, We can enforce handicap parking, so we do have that authority to do that, and so does our parking division. We've also used volunteers in the past. However, one of the things that is problematic is that our volunteers don't have access to the law enforcement sensitive information system to run license plates. And sometimes that handicap status is attached to that plate in our, we'll call it, it's referred to as lien in that system. And you don't know it unless you can run that. So that's, in this case, the van that we were talking about in that spot, one of our traffic officers had to actually go there, run the plate and see that they had a valid handicap placard. So I think that as these move forward, they're so specific to the person who's requesting them, and we just don't know. People in the neighborhood are also going to want to utilize that. So we're going to have to deal with this on a case-by-case basis.
And so parking and LPD can both enforce this then?
Right.
Okay. And then I know that there was some appetite for the volunteers, if they were to get a vehicle, to do that again. Has that been part of the conversation at all?
We haven't yet. There were some problems again when we were doing that, because without being able to have that additional layer of verifying that there was no handicap authority there, we were issuing tickets to people that essentially had to fight them to get them dismissed because they did have the authority or the permission to park there.
Sure. And then with this specific one, they actually removed the sign today because that was a temporary sign. But if someone does have a permanent sign, they should call parking or LPD.
But to be clear, it's not their spot, right?
Yes, it is still just open street parking with someone that has a handicap parking, but someone that does not have a placard or handicap parking cannot park there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Violation.
Just a quick question. So the resident that requested the handicap space for their use, they understand that it's not specifically for them to use.
Yes, I spoke to her this
Solely.
morning
Okay.
and explained that. I think there's other difficulties like the driveway being blocked, and there's a whole zoning issue there that I'm trying to work out now with her. But I think that's why she ended up having that spot in the street, is to be able to park her vehicle close. But I don't know that it was explained well that that's not like your parking spot, but a handicap parking spot for anyone to use, which was clarified.
Okay.
Other questions? Chief, well, I appreciate you coming in, explaining that to us and getting it on the record so we had a little bit of clarity.
I actually do have one. I'm sorry.
Sure.
If someone were to request a handicap parking spot in the future, just to be clear, it may be in a residential neighborhood. And who specifically would they contact for that? Would it be LPD? Would it be?
So we can't actually designate something as a handicap parking. You still have to go through Public Works to do
Public
that.
Works? Okay.
It was something that I had never seen
Okay.
done before, so this was all new for me.
Like public service and then
Public
you
service.
different
Yeah.
traffic control order.
Yeah. So if they were to call public service, there's a process that they have where they do that temporary traffic order. There's also a second process for a permanent handicap sign if the need is there. I think in this instance, it was a short-term like surgery or something like that. So they did the 90 days when they had the proof. But as I understood it from Andy Kilpatrick, it almost through his department.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Absolutely. All right. Is there anything else to be discussed? If not, we are adjourned at 4:14.
Right.
Thank you, Chief.